IIT Kanpur gave me that confidence and also that sense of responsibility that I need to do something more. As if I want, then who else would? Bisu, who was the founder of Kuku FM, called me when I was on a vacation with my family in Jaisalmer. And he said कि हमने कुछ शुरू किया मैंने सुना तुम्हें. You know, so fascinating. I was like कि यही काम करता है. And then everything. So one thing that Toppr and then Kuku FM taught me really well was that you iterate fast, you fail fast, and you learn fast. The power of this nation has to be the number of people it has. The population is supposed to be in strength. We look at creators the way Netflix looks at it. A median creator on Seekho is earning 2 lakhs. Kind of in the DNA that we only take bets where we are confident that's going to move the needle by a lot.
But how do you bust myths on the fact that vernacular India doesn't pay?
The whole ad-driven monetization thing does not work for learning content.
Rohit, good evening and welcome to That One Idea, our podcast series where we host entrepreneurs, and this time we're featuring best of content. So very happy that you agreed to come on this show and super proud to be featuring Seekho. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me here. I'm actually glad to be here talking about some of the latest trends happening in content. Is probably something more fun as well.
Yes, so I want to go all the way back to where it began. Tell us about where you were born and raised and any major content, literary, cultural influences on you growing up.
I was born and raised in Jodhpur.
Yeah.
I used to tell people earlier that Jodhpur is in Rajasthan, but soon realized people know this already. I don't mention it anymore. But I was in Jodhpur in my 12th standard, after which I went to IIT Kanpur. Uh, the most influence was of movies, I think.
Mm.
We didn't have that any cable connection on our TV. I and my brother used to watch a lot of movies, and a lot basically meant कि दूरदर्शन पे रात को संडे को रात को एक मूवी आएगी या दिन में मूवी आएगी. And then there also used to be, we were so excited that we also followed through that show. One movie used to be divided into 3 parts and telecasted in 3 different days. So yeah, that was the craze of movies back then, and those are like really bad movies. But yeah, there was definitely a lot of
influence of. I still take a lot of inspiration from some of the characters in some sort of movies. So yeah.
Awesome. We move ahead to IIT Kanpur. You also met your co-founders there. How transformational was that journey for you?
So by the way, I met my one of my co-founders when we were actually preparing for JEE in Jodhpur. It just happened that he took 1-year drop, but then came again to IIT Kanpur only. So that is where we met again. But IIT Kanpur was a life changer. To simply just put it, before IIT Kanpur, the wildest dream I had was probably a job in a large city, a corporate job where I'm kind of wearing some formals.
Yeah.
Even worse than this, and just working. But yeah, IIT Kanpur gave me that confidence and also that sense of responsibility that I need to do something more, something which can create larger impact, to transform the nation, to transform the society. Because if I won't, then who else would? So yeah, that was a sense that I started to develop while I was at IIT Kanpur. And even in terms of experimenting a lot with myself and learning what I'm good at, what I'm bad at, it gave me a lot of opportunities. I also did one internship at Nielsen only to realize that I can't work.
You're only big company logo, yeah.
The kind of the job I aspired to work always. So yeah, those were the kind of learnings I had, and it was super fun.
Yeah. Fantastic. And I know you recently revisited, and it's been a full decade since your graduation. And I think Bill Gates said it that you always underestimate what we can achieve with a decade of our lives, but overestimate what we can in a year of our lives. But have you reflected on the last 10 years, and you've packed quite a lot in this decade?
I don't do a lot of self-reflection,
Yeah.
although yeah, sometimes I'm forced to. But yeah, when I went back to IIT Kanpur recently, one thing which really stuck hard was that how the goalposts change very fast, and as you rightly said, we kind of are so much more focused about what are we going to achieve this year that we probably forget what have we done in the last 10 years. Um, but yeah, when I met a lot of students there, I realized that how far I have come in a lot of ways. You know, definitely, um, from the point where we were just Roman slippers and shorts to a point when I'm kind of, I feel like wearing better clothes. This in itself has been a long transformation. So yeah, definitely a lot of things, and I also got married recently.
Yeah.
So that is another one big change, I would say. So yeah, definitely. I think I'll I'm only realizing that I should spend more time into thinking what have I
Yeah.
achieved in the last 10 years.
Yeah. And tell us about how students reacted when you were back at campus recently. This is your first visit back?
This is not my first visit. So I thought of a lot of things when I was in campus. I thought that I would come back to higher from college. And then I also thought that is still something that I thought was achievable.
Yeah.
But then when I saw some really successful people come and give some talks or panel discussions, I thought that this is way beyond my league.
Yeah.
I won't be able to do this. Um, the thought itself didn't cross my mind that it is possible for me.
Yeah.
But when I went, and that was for a panel discussion only. So yeah, the students were like, अरे आप सर बोल रहे हैं, and then I'm like कि सर क्या होता है, and then they are like नहीं सर आपने तो बहुत कुछ किया है and all, and I'm like no bro मैंने नहीं किया है. But I think the fact that उस time पे the aspirations are very different from what I have for myself now, is what stops me from realizing ki what I have achieved. But yeah, my friends and even my wife keep reminding me that this has been a tough journey, and you have actually achieved something which you should remember, and which you should appreciate. But yeah, I think I need to get better at it.
That is fantastic. And you have done multiple things differently. As we said, you never went to any of the large, usual suspect MNC employers, and you've always been part of the startup ecosystem. Take us to the years at Toppr and, of course, Kuku. And was like Seekho as an idea aside, was entrepreneurship always very natural for you? Was it always back of your mind?
So, as I said,
Yeah.
college में ही I even got the idea of कि मैं कुछ कर सकता हूँ, I'm worth doing
Yeah.
it. But then I wanted to start up just after my college, but I was so naive that I didn't even think क्या करूँगा कैसे करूँगा, and I think I was pretty much using it as a way or as an escape from preparing for placements and stuff. So yeah, my friend Chinmay was with me in Antaragni, which was our cultural fest. So उसने एकदम डांट दिया मेरे को कि what is this, तूने सोचा है क्या कि क्या करेगा वगैरह वगैरह. And then he actually made me prepare very seriously for the campus placements. And that is how I got into Toppr. However, that was since when I have been wanting to do something of my own. And then Toppr was a great experience. That was when I had like 10 years older people running that business, really talented people like Shan and Hemant, who were the co-founders, and then my my manager was the product head, Joko Chitty, who's like the best teacher I've ever got. So yeah, I learned a lot from them, but also, one thing kind of I started to realize that ये बहुत ज्यादा स्टड लोग हैं, और अगर कंपनी चलाने के लिए इतना स्टड होना पड़ता है, then probably I won't be able to do that ever. तो ये लगभग 3 साल, 3 years I was at Toppr, and I was working very hard, but at the same time I had this back of my mind. And then I thought कि चलो, ट्रिगर भी ये था कि Toppr was shifting to Hyderabad from Mumbai, and I used to go on a lot of treks in Mumbai. So I said कि नहीं, मेरे को ये नहीं करने मिलेगा. So I'll go to a different company now, which was so lame. But yeah, this was what it was. But then I got an offer from various places,
Yeah.
decided to join Paytm.
Yeah.
However, Bisu, who was the founder of Kuku FM, called me when I was on a vacation with my family in Jaisalmer. And he said कि हमने कुछ कुछ शुरू किया, मैंने सुना है तूने भी छोड़ दिया है, so let's catch up. So I said नहीं नहीं, मेरे को तो, मैं तो बढ़िया दिल्ली जा रहा हूँ, वहां से ट्रैक्स पे जाऊंगा, it's so much fun. But he's saying नहीं, एक बार आके मिल ले. So I actually went to meet him, and it was WeWork, and it was
Yeah.
so fascinating. I was like कि यही काम करना है. And then everything happened the way it did. But yeah, I decided to join Kuku FM, leading product there. Did a lot of good work there for 2.5 years. And that was when Kirte and Yash joined me back in my life.
Did you bring them into Kuku?
I brought in
well?
Kirte.
Okay.
Yeah. So Kirte was, I think, preparing for UPSC. And after that, I referred him to Kuku. And then Kirte got Yash.
Okay.
So, and Kirte
So
and
the
Yash were
reunion
like
at Kuku.
roommates in college. So yeah, it was kind of a reunion, but more importantly, it helped us look at the professional sides of each other. Because before that, we always, knew each other as friends. But yeah, that was the first time we actually could see that how hard we all work, and then we were actually some of the top performers at Kuku. So I can't say about myself, but both of them were. So yeah, that gave us that confidence. And then when COVID hit, I thought that maybe we should start something in the learning space. Let's call it Seekho. So that was when it started, and the trigger was कि COVID में मैं treks पे नहीं जा पा रहा था. So yeah, that has been.
But there is a Europe trip that you refer to. So speaking of trips and treks, I need to ask you about backpacking through Europe.
Yes, I did that twice. First, I did that when I was at Toppr.
Oh.
Toppr में it was not so usual back then,
Yeah.
right? To go to Euro trips, that was a
Yeah.
big deal.
Yeah.
तो इसीलिए मेरे दिमाग में कभी आया ही नहीं कि ये मैं कर सकता हूँ. But then I was about to leave. उससे पहले I got the leave of some 15-20 days. So my manager said कि एक बार छुट्टी लेके सोच ले, उसके बाद भी जाना है तो चला जाना. I thought cool. Then I thought कि चलो कहीं घूमने जाता हूँ, इंडिया के टूर पे जाऊंगा. Then I thought थोड़ा बाहर जाते हैं, वियतनाम कैसा रहेगा. Then I started researching and realized कि अच्छा ये भी possible है. Because what it takes is probably 1 lakh rupees, which you can somehow jugado and just go to the trip. और अकेला लौंडा था मैं तो, मतलब कहीं भी चले जाओ. तो yeah, then I got that courage कि हाँ, I can do it. I applied for the visa, got it very fast.
Yeah.
And then that was the first time I went to Europe, starting with. So I did a lot. I did like six countries. in 20 days.
The classic SOTC Coxic Kings ads that we
So,
see of 20 cities, 10 days.
Yeah. So yeah, I was like, ek raat I'll sleep in a
Train or bus.
bus or train, and then other one in a hostel. So, but yeah, that was actually life changing.
It is solo?
Yeah, it was
So,
solo.
yeah.
No one else would do this Pagalpanti. So yeah, I realized that, why copying West won't work. This is something that strongly hit me, because जब आप इंडिया में हो, you say कि अरे विदेशों में तो ऐसे होता है वैसे होता है, हमें भी करना चाहिए. But when I went there and saw something as basic as an automated toilet on a footpath, right? That's working really well there. You don't really need an operator, a person to take care of it, and everything is just happening. But वो हो ही नहीं पाएगा इंडिया में, because लोगों के पास घर नहीं है रहने को. People will just go and sleep there. That's just a shed for someone. So that is when I realized that the power of this nation has to be the number of people it has. The population is supposed to be a strength, but that is turning out to be the weakness for this country. क्यों नहीं बना सकते? क्योंकि कोई और आके रह लेगा. लोग इतने हैं, बट लोग इतने हैं तो वो लोग कुछ उखाड़ भी तो सकते हैं. So that was something that I started realizing, and that just got reinforced when I went again while I was at Kuku. And this time I went to the Central Europe. So although it was a lot more fun than how I am portraying it as, but yeah, the outcome was definitely that we need to do something so that we can use the population of this country as a strength. And I think the motivation behind building something like Seekho came from there. I also used to use this slogan back when we started, which was "Hum badhenge, desh badhega." But yeah, only to realize that people don't care as much. So yeah, but that is a true belief.
What about translating and passing on this vision to not just your co-founders, but early employees as well, right? How do you kind of translate your vision and ambition as a founder, and just your level of closeness and passion to an idea? Firstly, do you believe it's necessary, or everyone comes, does their work well and goes, it doesn't matter? But overall, what is your philosophy about translating vision?
So I think it's completely necessary when we are talking about the first 20 employees, probably, because they are an extension of you.
Yeah.
They have to be an extension of you, and not just the vision, but I think the overall culture of the company is supposed to be pretty aligned. And because I was taking care of the whole people direction, or the people front of Kuku FM, apart from the product that I was anyway supposed to take care of. So that gave me a lot of insights into what are the right and the wrong things to do. I always want to build this company with a lot of love, and not really, driven by a lot of fear. So that's where vision and culture and translating that or communicating that to larger team was always very important. How we actually do this is, having a common vision doc as well as a culture doc, which we discuss in every town hall in some way or the other. We don't just present the doc and discuss. That is the most boring way to do it. But every town hall, I basically, structure it in a way so that the culture and the vision gets reiterated.
And this is from your seat days?
Yeah.
From day zero. Yeah.
So from day zero, we could just, we were
Gather in
five, nine people, so we could just do it, very naturally. Because, and this is also something that we need to take care of while we are getting people on board. क्योंकि लोग आएंगे ही नहीं if they are not aligned to the vision. So these are some things that I do. One town hall, I actually created a presentation using AI as to how Seekho is going to look in the longer run. And there was, it started with my home where my wife and my child is sitting, and the Seekho app ka logo with a phone open. This is how that started, and then it was like कि मैं ऑफिस से जा रहा हूँ और होर्डिंग दिख रहा है सीखो का, मैं कैंपस पहुंचता हूँ और इतना बड़ा कैंपस है सीखो का, and then there are multiple floors. So this is how I try to keep the team aligned to the vision, because it's not just about a statement.
Yeah.
It's a lot more than that. It's exactly how good you can actually help them visualize where you want to reach. So yeah, that's something that we love to.
What was the start? Like during the pandemic, of course, content and time spent online was already hitting highs and people were binging on free content. But how did you take those critical first few decisions on format, timeline, episodic, self-create, use external creators? There are multiple variables and decisions that you have to take given limited cash runways. And we were discussing earlier on how this was not straightforward and easy to navigate. How did you just prioritize this in your head? How clear were some of these decisions, and how or maybe were they obvious? Were they hard? And how did you take the early decisions on types of format and what modus operandi the app will have?
So one thing that Toppr and then Kuku FM taught me really well was that you iterate fast, you fail fast, and you learn fast. That's how you take decisions. So the day we decided that we'll building an app called Seekho, and it will be something around learning. We don't know yet what. So in almost a week, we launched a website using Wix. Just scraped some content from YouTube, launched it, only to realize that this is not working. Then we took some courses, tried to build that, didn't work again. Then you generally take clues from here and there कि हाँ ये चल रहा है ये करके देखते हैं. So one thing that was happening was Edutalk, which was basically a hashtag for all the educational content on TikTok. Then TikTok of course got banned, which was not the reason why we thought Edutalk would work, which was in fact opposite of why we thought Edutalk would work or something like Seekho would work. But then we thought that this was working. They probably didn't get enough time to work on it, but let's figure out. Then we scraped all the Edutalk content, put it in an app, named it Seekho, launched it. There was not a lot of retention and engagement, but people loved the idea. We love the idea कि हाँ यार short video में सिखा रहे हो आप, and people as in not the external people, the users were of the opinion always, reviews हमेशा आते थे, अरे ये तो बहुत अच्छा idea है, ये तो बहुत बढ़िया app है, although people didn't use the app a lot. So that was a good indicator of कि हाँ need तो है, we are not able to serve that need. Let's figure out how we can do that. So yeah, we iterated again on the format a lot. A very simple nuance. TikTok is supposed to be used like this, which also means that you don't have to be actively watching those. You can just थोड़ा बहुत दिमाग लगा के या बिना दिमाग लगाए, what we call mindless scrolling. This is not how learning is supposed to work. So that is the clue we took and thought कि इसका design change करते हैं. People should select what they want to watch. And that is when we kind of clubbed short videos into something called a series. A series was 10 minutes that had a topic. So people could actually select what they want to learn. And that worked well. That worked much better. So this is how we took almost all the decisions. We also took the decision to make it a paid app when we were left with 1 month of runway. But luckily, after a few experiments, we could take that call, and that month of salaries we could give with the revenue we earned. तो एक एफडी करा रखी थी एक महीने के लिए उसकी रनवे की जो तोड़नी नहीं पड़ी हमको बट या it completely changed everything, not just कि हाँ पैसा बन रहा है, but changed completely how we were looking at building a business and a product. Earlier I used to think कि business अलग चीज होती है, product अलग चीज होती है, दोनों को parallelly बनाना होता है, but उससे रियलाइज हुआ एंड देन उसके बाद रियलाइज हुआ दैट बिजनेस एंड प्रोडक्ट हैव टू बी कंप्लीटली बाइंडेड विद ईच अदर. ऐसा नहीं हो सकता कि आज प्रोडक्ट बना लिया बिजनेस बाद में फिगर आउट कर लेंगे, या फिर बिजनेस ये है प्रोडक्ट ये है कुछ एक रिप्लेस कर दिया. दैट इज नॉट पॉसिबल. So yeah, that is, that is how we cut down a lot of stuff, focus only on stuff which those people who are willing to learn, who are also willing to pay. And that is how we started building it with the 9-member team that we were. And because maybe not frugality, but efficiency was in the DNA. So we are now a $35 million business with a 35-member team, which is something we are really proud of.
You've done multiple firsts and you've rewritten the business and the economics playbook. You've spoken often about low CAC. You spoke about monetization, and while the situation to turn it on was different, the fact that not all customer feedback is the same, and you need to listen to not just, don't listen to your free users, listen to your paid
There are a
users.
lot of research.
And for me, my favorite part of the economics was that 6% creator share, right?
Come down to 5 now.
It's which I think is fantastic, right? Specifically on creator share, tell us about how were you able to change the market standard in terms of creator revenue sharing, and what was the amount of back work, trust, format change, or the effort required from Seekho's side in terms of helping creators bring content here?
Yeah. So, we didn't, and we still don't look at creators as the suppliers.
Yeah.
That is, that is a way of probably building something like a YouTube. We look at creators the way Netflix looks at it. Netflix is mostly working with production houses. Netflix has its own production house and of course working with a lot of other production houses. And that's how we think about it. That those are the partners that we have. जितना revenue हम grow करेंगे, उतना ज़्यादा फायदा उनको होगा. And this is a model that we are working with. And creators have a lot more to get from, teaching on Seekho, for the lack of a better word. But yeah, creating content which is educational.
Yeah.
Because they love doing this. And a median creator on Seekho is earning 2 lakhs per month, which in itself is really huge. Although, as a percentage of revenue, that's just 5%. And that has to be that way because we all know how high the CACs generally are, right? So that is the only way to run this business. And hence you are left with a very small cake for the creators. And when you have a small cake, you invite less people to your party so that everyone gets a good slice. And that's exactly what we are doing. We know that this business can't be built with a 40% COGS. So what we are doing is, I'll have less number of creators, only have the best quality creators on the platform, which also works well for the business, for the users, and then give each of them something really significant. So that's pretty much the core of the production engine that we have.
And I noticed in every video, your showrunners, as you call them, start by saying it's a Seekho exclusive, right? And that explains this model of small concentrated set of showrunners, as you say. Take us through the toolkits and the playbooks that you give them to bring their best in terms of how they produce the show? Do you help them with ideas? Do you help them with the post production? Of course, is all yours. But in terms of narratives, storylines, scripts, how do you help them bring their best every day?
The post production is not us.
Okay. So they're doing a lot for 6%.
Yes.
5% now, sorry. Yeah.
For 2 lakhs per month.
Yeah.
So, what we have figured out is
Yeah.
that we need to have the best creators on board.
Yes.
And
And do they work mostly for you?
mostly, yes.
Okay.
कोई अगर 2 लाख रुपए महीने का दे रहा है तो it has.
But you'll be the biggest, largest distribution platform for them.
Yeah. So, how do you identify if a creator is good? अभी मैं उसको देख के बोल दूं कि हाँ यार तू तो सही लग रहा है तू आजा, is not the right way. What we basically do is launch a POC with every creator, where they launch a show. In that show, there will be the first 5 topics will be shared by us, and then we'll measure कि उस पे feedback कैसा आ रहा है, उसका completion rate कैसा है, उस पे volume कितना आ रहा है. And only if a creator is able to launch a show successfully, which basically means 4 consecutive successful videos, then we'll onboard them as a mainstream creator. So,
Do you give them the ideas and the narratives?
Only the ideas, only the topics.
Like how to, or tell us about PAN card, Aadhaar card.
Yeah, yes, right. Just the topic. And once they have launched a successful show, we actually don't have to do anything. They just keep coming up with new ideas for their own show, keep launching videos at a specific frequency, at whatever specific quality that they were hired for. And they also can't fail. If they fail consecutively for 3 to 4 videos, then they are on the risk of termination. But they usually don't fail because we have already onboarded the best ones. So this is how they have full room for creativity, but at the same time they are working in a particular structure which helps them maximize their creativity. And at the same time, obviously, we have some guidelines like you have to wear a Seekho t-shirt, and then you have to, or a Seekho badge, whatever. You have to have a Seekho logo. You have to say that welcome to my show. So there are some standard stuff, but apart from that, you are free to create whatever you want to create under that show that you are assigned. So yeah, that is pretty much how.
And just some more questions on these showrunners. Do the best showrunners traverse formats and content, or they typically stick to what they're good at?
It happens sometimes that people run out of ideas, and we also realize that idea khatam ho gaye. There's nothing more.
It's run its course. Or it's not topical.
Then we run another show. We launch another show with the same creator, and then it runs for a very long time. This is how they basically switch gears. It never happens कि मैं यही show run कर रहा हूँ and then I'll switch something, because then it will be an injustice with the users. क्योंकि हर show से there's some expectation that they have. So that is how we make sure that.
And in terms of audience, do you start seeing a followership to certain creators, showrunners?
Our users love some of these showrunners.
Yeah.
Although there's more affinity to the
Topic.
category, the topic.
Yeah.
But yeah, they definitely get a lot of good feedback. कि अरे वाह सर आप तो बहुत ही बढ़िया बताते हो सर ये भी बता दो. So yeah, definitely there is that. We don't really have a lot of following loops.
Yes,
to say
and the product doesn't allow you to search by showrunner. Yeah.
Right. So that is still something that we are figuring out how we can do it in a way that it translates to a larger jump. So we never just launch a feature for a 2% jump. That's kind of in the DNA that we only take bets where we are confident that it's going to move the needle by a lot. Otherwise, we just don't bother. So yeah, and that's how you build a $1 million ARR per employee business.
And in terms of what the showrunner's ambition is, and at scale, like Seekho at scale, what do you typically hear from them on, what's next for them, and how do you chart a success for them as presenters? And
So I believe that the best thought leaders, the best experts are going to be on Seekho,
Hmm.
uh, making people's lives easier, making them better. Uh, and that is what we actually pitch to the showrunners as well. That if, if you can stay with Seekho for the longest term, then you would probably be the one of the best educational creators this country or this world will ever see. And this is something that has started to show as well. For example, recently we put up the hoardings of some of these showrunners in their own towns, and that was a great
wow, what a
feeling for
fantastic idea! Yeah.
some of these showrunners. So yeah, we are actually doing everything that we can to make these showrunners like the best guys to do this.
You think there'll ever be a tipping point where you'll start creating like TV show celebrity style? You think some of them will start emerging, or you think the way you want to design the product, that content and topic will always remain?
I think this app might not see it ever because सीखो का यूएसपी है कि यहाँ पे काम की चीजें मिलती है, something very actionable, something very crisp. However, the larger vision is to build an organization which is the only name, which is the only brand that comes to your mind when you think of learning, and that way it is aligned. Might have a production house,
Yeah.
or probably another app which will be more meaningful OTT of sorts, which we might be launching sometime in our journey.
Yeah. Coming now to the topics, and you said you spoke about the how to. There's a lot of broadly 3-4 areas where people are interested. One is sarkari kaam, government work, day-to-day work, how to scale and grow their business, how to launch a YouTube channel, Instagram channel, sell online, etc. Anything that has surprised you in terms of topics that your audiences have asked about?
Aadhaar card update karna.
Yeah.
That was the first thing that we figured out is selling.
Yeah.
It was selling like anything. And we were like, कि इसके लिए लोग क्यों पैसा देंगे? And when I pitch to investors, they still ask me, इसके लिए लोग क्यों पैसा देते हैं?
Is that still your most viewed video?
That is
The topic? Yeah.
because it's so old
Yeah.
that उस particular topic, उस particular category में इतने सारे users आ गए हैं that's running for almost 3 years now.
Wow.
So, and we are still getting the maximum users for that category.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is big.
Hmm.
And that's not just Aadhaar update karna, but everything around that. Aadhaar update karna, Aadhaar paneling karna, driving license बनवाना. So इससे ज़्यादा surprise तो मैं कभी नहीं हुआ. But then sometimes there are topics which actually surprise us. For example, business में I never thought that business would become such a huge category. क्योंकि जब बिजनेस सोचते हैं हम तो हमारे दिमाग में आता है कि कितने ही लोग हैं जो बिजनेस करते हैं, बट द राइट क्वेश्चन टू आस्क इज कितने लोग बिजनेस करना चाहते हैं. एंड you pick like anyone, there are 70% chances that guy will say कि हाँ यार कभी तो मुझे खुद का बिजनेस करना है. So that is the empowerment that Seekho is bringing to life.
And how do people search for topics? I know with learning, one might think that you know what you want to learn. So how much of the user design is search led versus discovery led?
So it's kind of a USP of Seekho that it's a discovery platform. It's so easy to discover content, which is not in case of the free content because
Yes.
there's a lot of entertainment content as well.
Yeah. And search can be very frustrating on the large platforms. Yeah.
Right. So search is increasing on Seekho. It's like from 15% users to it has now come to 30% users who are searching. But still the primary use case remains discovery.
And do people switch genres and topics? They go from
Yeah.
horror to biographies to
That happens a lot.
business and self.
That happens a lot. Almost 70% of the users who use the app in a month would use it for multiple categories. And that is also really good because we have seen a good correlation between the number of categories someone uses and the longer run retention. So Seekho is now evolving as kind of a learning use case replacement for YouTube.
Yeah.
And to be able to actually do that at a large scale, you need almost everything which can fall under the umbrella of learning. And yeah,
Yeah.
that would be a point when people would be using Seekho for a lot of things.
Yeah.
And that's the direction we are moving towards.
And fundamentally, do your audiences use it to improve their own and better their day-to-day lives, whether it's business or, like you said, Aadhaar card, or how much of it is general curiosity on like big topics, topical topics?
क्यूरियोसिटी का मार्केट बहुत बड़ा नहीं है क्योंकि क्यूरियोसिटी सर्व मेरी ऐसे भी हो जाती है आई डोंट नीड टू पे फॉर इट so yes most of them use it to actually learn stuff.
Yeah. And take something back for their day-to-day.
Exactly. To either improve themselves or to earn more money or to become popular. But yeah, there's some aspiration for which people use Seekho. Although I don't use it for actionable stuff. I watch a lot of Mahabharat content and some Daily Punch, as in some curiosity-driven content.
Yeah. At scale, do you think, again, this will stay or people will start using it for more? It could be just a headline or it could be a fictional series. And
I think it will always be a mix of both. When it becomes the true education alternate for YouTube, then it will be a good mix of both actionable content and more
general knowledge,
edutainment content to say.
Yeah.
So yeah, we are kind of moving towards it with some categories being more entertaining, yet under learning.
Very, very interesting. Just a little bit on monetization. I know subscriptions you spoke about. UPI subscription has changed the game for a lot of apps. Do you think UPI, like subscriptions alone, will be it? How much do you think will be between ads, IAPs, and subscriptions? And the whole, you've always been upfront about saying that you can't be a non-monetizable app forever. You have to start, and you were very early in your monetizing journey. But how do you bust myths on the fact that vernacular India doesn't pay?
I think it's an old thing now that vernacular India doesn't pay. This was created because there was so much inflow of money, of capital, external capital, that for a very long time, the content apps in India didn't bother to charge, and also didn't bother to build something that is worth charging for. And the whole air was about getting a lot of engagement. We don't know for what. But yeah, when that capital crunch started happening, and that happened in our journey, for us it hit much harder. But it was kind of a case even with Kuku or with Pocket or with Stage at some point in time. So yeah, I think necessity is the mother of invention, has been said, and that is very true. So yeah, that is what I think about monetization. And for us, I think it's, at least for this platform, it's mostly going to be subscriptions. The whole ad-driven monetization thing does not work for learning content. And the reason is that, ads are very much linked with engagement time or engagement in general.
And in short format, you can't disturb that.
It's not really about the short format. Rather, it's about prioritizing delivering value over improving the engagement time. So if I am an ad-driven platform, I'll always prioritize delivering engagement, and I would, not prioritize delivering value with my content. And eventually it will become more like an entertainment app, and that would not align with the larger vision of Seekho, which is about building everything learning.
A very interesting point on value that you spoke about. Being content first, is there a way that you can measure this value prop for your audiences and customers beyond engagement time. So I'm sure you do like daily calls with them. And are they able to like kind of, how do you directly attribute that success of I was able to get my driver's license without going to RTO or getting Aadhaar card linked, thanks to this video on my on the app.
Right. So, of course, the on a quantitative basis, we are able to measure it by the fact that they are using the app and they're paying.
They're paying and they're renewing. Yes.
So that is a very high level stuff.
Yeah.
However, in our customer calls, sometimes some very interesting things come up. I was talking to a user a couple of months before, where he told me that I'm using this app. I learned how to give this exam to get a CSC certificate, and now I have a Aadhaar center. And I asked him कि अच्छा ठीक है इससे पहले क्या कर रहे थे? I thought that he might be unemployed and he somehow figured. He said मैं 10,000 रुपए की जॉब कर रहा था, वो मैंने छोड़ दी और मैंने सीखो से ये सीख के मैंने खुद का बिजनेस शुरू कर दिया. That was mind-boggling for me. Although that was the vision, but to see that vision turning real is something really great. So yeah, we keep getting those feedbacks, but at the same time, I think the way lifelong learning works is that you keep learning a lot of stuff and then you use whenever you want to use. In lifelong learning, if you if you force me to sit in an exam or just force me to tell कि अच्छा क्या सीखा, that completely defies the purpose, because yeah, there's a reason people don't don't love the academics, and they're boring. तो अगर academic तरीके से हम lifelong learning करवाएंगे, this is never going to work. So yeah, that's pretty much the belief. Super interesting. Thanks for sharing that with us. Moving to the final segment in another stakeholder, that is investors. And as a 1x VC, what advice do you have for early stage investors in terms of? Oh, wow. I never thought that someone would ask. Speech, so please. No, I don't think I have any specific advice for any of the early stage investors. If you would have asked me this 3 years ago, I would have cribbed so much. I would have said, why don't you support innovators, and why have you always have to look at global competitors or global alternates. This feels so, when you're starting something bottom up, that starts feeling like मेरे को पैसा क्यों नहीं दे रहा है कोई, मैं उबर फॉर वाई क्यों बनाऊं, मेरे को तो खुद का कुछ बनाना है, बट मेरे को फिर इन्वेस्टर पैसा नहीं देते. एंड आई यूज्ड टू crib a lot about that. But when I think that from an investor point of view, or rather if I have to angel invest in a company, I would want to see something like that, because that reduces the risk, and I am here to make my money, right? So yeah, I don't really have much advice. I think it's great how a lot of early stage investors are coming up. Like I would just want to do everything to increase that number if I can, and I would want to do everything to help you guys raise more and more funds and deploy more and more funds in whatever way I can. So yeah, that's pretty much it. In terms of how you've built your cap table and just advice to founders looking to raise their first few rounds, and now reflecting back, what are some of the things you would advise in terms of selecting? I know many founders tell us it's not really a choice. Which is true. It's not. Most of the times it's not a choice, but I think the right answer would be to do everything so that you can choose. And well said, very well said. The best way to do that is by being very true to yourself and building a really good business. I have a lot of things to say here, but I think the most important one is that if you are building something to raise, then probably you will also be able to raise. Uh, I wasn't. I'm really bad at fundraising, by the way. Um, I am able to raise because the business is doing so well. Otherwise, I'm really bad. So, however, even if I was good at raising, and if I would have been able to raise probably a couple of millions of dollars when I was struggling with my runway, I would have never thought of launching monetization, and I would have never been able to build a 35 million ARR business in 2.5 years by burning less than $1 million in total. So yeah, there's no point. Even if you are able to raise without building a real business, there's anyway no point. So yeah, this is the advice I would give that build a business. No matter you are good at raising or not, build a business.
Fantastic. And from the past and reflecting, if I have to put you back in the future, what is exciting you the most, and any sneak peeks, releases, anything that you can share with us on what is brewing in the Seekho office?
Well, a lot.
Yeah.
We are so excited about expanding the business. Currently, we are in some 10 categories. The whole idea of making Seekho something like a replacement of YouTube's learning use case requires us to expand to all possible learning categories. Um, and and yeah, you have to figure out the playbooks for that. You have to have some really good guys doing that in your team. We are getting one more guy who used to work at Dream 11 to lead the content strategy for us or the business strategy overall. And then there's some other guy also is now going to lead the marketing to go deeper into some of those categories in India. So all of these things are really exciting because there's a lot more to figure out. And then at the same time, language expansion is one big area. We have launched this Tamil app recently called Arivu, and it has already crossed some 50,000 paying subscribers in just a month. So yeah, this sort of expansion is again that I'm super excited about. And then yeah, probably in a year or two, we will also be going global. So all of these things, yeah, great.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rohit. Many cheers to Seekho, to lifelong learning, and to being a polymath. So thank you so much for coming on the show, and really enjoyed the conversation.
Thank you. It was a fun